People who don't put a time and date on when they're actually going to do it just never do it.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I wanna be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today, as the Edmonton Business Consultant, we're talking about how real entrepreneurs schedule their financial statement review. Again, as the Edmonton Business Consultant, we're talking about how real entrepreneurs schedule their financial statement review. I have May here with me today. May, have you seen some of the monthly financial statement meetings so far?
Yes.
Yeah, and have you noticed the trend, how the successful ones are,
Yes.
buying in, they always show up, and
Oh yeah.
some people are always putting out fires all the time.
Yeah, and you can tell who is really committed to improving their business through not only like looking at the numbers, but also finding out how to improve those numbers as they go. So
Yeah.
that really makes them different from others.
Cool, yeah, for sure. So the quote that we have here today, it's a Jim Collins quote, author of 6 business books, including, one of my favorites, Good to Great. And he says, you must maintain unwavering faith that you can and will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties. And at the same time, have the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. Financial statements, sometimes people don't want to look at them because they know it doesn't look good. And the statistic that we have are 50% of all Canadian businesses, they'll go out of business in the first 5 years, and 29% of these failed businesses will list running out of cash as one of the primary reasons for their failure, making running out of cash the second most common reason for business failure. And the story that we see time and time again is business owners, they just don't realize how high they should rank reviewing their financial statements in terms of all the other responsibilities that they have as a business owner. So, mate, what are the questions that you think these business owners should be asking?
They should ask, should rookie entrepreneurs review their financials every 2 weeks with payroll?
Yeah, I think so. When you're first starting out, rookie entrepreneurs, they can't delegate this task. They need to be reviewing their financials every 2 weeks. And why I do it every 2 weeks, recommend every 2 weeks, is that's when they run payroll. There's no point of looking at it midweek before the payroll. Let's say, once we pay the staff, what do we have left over? What do the numbers look like after we pay the staff? Let's not look at it, midweek after we've collected. After 1 week, we collected a bunch of receivables and things are looking good. Once all that money goes out, hopefully we have enough to cover payroll. But once all that money goes out, what does the financial situation look like? I think that's the time period that most early stage entrepreneurs, they really should be reviewing their financial statements every 2 weeks when they run that payroll, and get a new kind of state of affairs at that time.
And should experienced entrepreneurs review their financials monthly?
Yeah, so even if you got this under control, a lot of experienced entrepreneurs, they have someone in their office who can review the financial situation on a bi-weekly basis, make sure the payroll is correct, make sure all the payables are going out the right way, make sure the people who are getting paid are supposed to be getting paid at the correct amounts, and make sure the people that we are paying deserve to be paid because they've completed their contracts or done the hours that they said they have. But even if you have that in place, experienced entrepreneurs, they still need to be reviewing their financial statements monthly, because this is the report card. This tells us how we're doing. This tells us, are the decisions that we're making, are they effective? Are they ineffective? What changes should I be making next month? What little tweaks should I be making next month? It doesn't matter. I think if you've been doing it for a year or 10 years, you need to be reviewing your financial statements as a business owner monthly.
Will the financial statement review get done if it's not scheduled?
My experience is this never gets done if it is not scheduled. Almost like anything else in life or in business, if you don't, what gets scheduled gets done. And people who don't put a time and date on when they're actually going to do it just never do it. So financial statement review is no different. It's not, I'm going to do it when I have a chance one day. It's simply not going to get done. And not only will it not get done, but you got to think there's a certain time when it makes more sense to review the financial statements, right? Like it makes sense to review the financial statements with the payroll because that determines, how you're doing up to date at that time. or it makes sense to review your financial statements after the previous month has been locked off or completed and all the reconciliations for the prior month are closed off. It makes sense to review it at that time. So it's not that it just won't get done, but there's at some points where the financial statements, depending on the workflow of the accounting systems, they might not, they might be a little bit out of date or not quite ready yet. So you should have a schedule of when things get done and when you review them.
Do unsuccessful entrepreneurs break these appointments to chase new deals?
Yeah, here it is. They think, oh, I got to chase a new deal. This is the right thing to do. Customer's always right. I got to go and find that deal. That's the thing. It's one of the common things that they're probably falsely, they just developed that internal hierarchy and they think that ranks higher, that they should chase the new deal before they review their financial statements. That would be probably one of the common characteristics of unsuccessful entrepreneurs is they break that appointment to review their financial statements to chase a new deal.
So does this almost always result in unsustainable margins?
Yeah. So the same entrepreneur was chasing the new deal doesn't realize, because they didn't review their financials, that the new deal that they were chasing, was unsustainable. The margin, the amount of profit they were going to make on it, they shouldn't have done the job to begin with because they're going to lose money off that job, and this is not sustainable. But so they can't even, go to that customer or potential customer and give them a price of what they should be doing because they don't know how they did on the last jobs yet. They don't know where they are at all, so it doesn't really make any sense to chase that new job when you're not even in a position that you can price it yet. But they just think that, I obviously more work is better than no more work, but that's not always the case. There's a lot of jobs and a lot of projects and a lot of business decisions that, we do that put us further back. They don't move us further ahead, and actually makes it more difficult.
Do unsuccessful entrepreneurs break these appointments for burning fires?
Yeah, so it's always, they want to chase new customers or they have a burning fire. Something happened on a job site. Something happened at the production plant. We had a big HR issue. There's always a burning fire, and they're always going to, break their financial statement review appointment to put out that burning fire. It's just a common characteristic we see between, if we look at people who, it doesn't work out for them, unsuccessful entrepreneurs, they always have that burning fire that somehow they've just ranked it higher in their belief system than reviewing the financial statements, which is, oddly enough, it's a misnomer, really. They need to review those financial statements.
And why does reviewing the numbers first help you address the burning fires?
So you want to address the burning fire. It's really important, but at the same time, what options do I have to address the burning fire? Let's say if it's an HR issue and everyone is, if you need more people, or you need to buy a new piece of equipment, or a piece of equipment breaks down and you don't know what to do with it. Well, in order to make that decision and actually address it, wouldn't it be beneficial to know how much cash you have at your disposal? So they go and review that, that broken piece of equipment or, a cost overrun on a job site, but they don't know if that's a catastrophe, or if they don't know if that's something that they have the funds available to rectify that problem easily. So it doesn't really make sense to address the burning fires without looking at the financials, which really tell you, what options we have at our disposal to solve that issue.
And when owners come to discuss burning fires, do you look at the numbers first?
Yeah, so even when they come to us, a lot of times they want to come to us and they have their monthly meeting, and our job is we have to focus them. They're really intent on talking about this issue. It's adding staff, laying staff off, buying equipment, selling equipment, refinancing, buying a building. These big burning fire issues, and we have to say that we want to solve that, and I want to solve it. But let's look at the numbers first, because we're all going to just make better decisions once we look at those numbers. So even the numbers, they seem disconnected, like reviewing this income statement and balance sheet. How does this help me with my HR issue? Well, this is basically the guidelines of what you have at your disposal to solve that HR issue.
Do entrepreneurs who miss financial statements review appointments fail often?
They do. It's like the common characteristic. We see it over and over again. And, it's not that our feelings are hurt so much that they miss an appointment. I mean, a lot of times, people miss an appointment, a 5 o'clock appointment with me. It means I'm going home early that day. It's not a big deal to us. Where the big deal to us is we know that behavior over time, they're just not going to make the same decisions because they're usually missing those appointments to chase new work, and they're not quite certain on how much they're making on the existing work, or to put out fires, and they don't actually know what resources they have at their disposal to solve those issues effectively. And we just see it over and over again that the people who miss the appointments, they schedule that time to review the financial information, and they don't attend those appointments, they just fail at an extraordinarily high rate compared to the ones that show up.
How far will successful entrepreneurs go to ensure they review their financials?
Yeah, so the successful entrepreneurs have probably, a lot of them have gone to like the other extreme. Like they will not miss that financial statement review meeting if their life depends on it. They will call you from a boat in the middle of the ocean because and log in online to see the numbers because they want to see it. They'll call you from the hospital. They'll call you from vacation. They'll come in when they're sick. They'll literally come in and, telling a crazy, story about how the job site is falling down. A fire started on the job site, or a piece of equipment just crashed into each other. But they're reviewing their numbers because they know they actually can't even solve the problem or make decisions until they review the numbers. So they go to incredible lengths, we found, to attend these meetings, and yet you have the other meetings, and it sounds logical. It's like, I can't come because there was a literal fire happened on the job site, but the successful entrepreneur will be like, yeah, there was a fire, we called the fire department, let's see what our numbers are. And it feels weird, but they need to know because that's what's going to help them make the decision to get them out of that jam. It's not, rather than the unsuccessful entrepreneur thinks it's just delaying the decision. The successful entrepreneur knows that that's actually going to help them make a better decision, so they actually truly solve the problem. So I think that's what we have here today. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And as always, we look forward to any comments that you have so we can respond back and use any of your input for future videos. Thanks very much.